Hi, I'm a 15-year-old artist, and these past months I can't seem to paint more often like I've used to. This past month I haven't created one art. Can you tell me what motivates you and what can be your advice? First of all, adorable question, Lawrence. See, it's one of those ah moments. Um, the problem lately with not drawing, what I found about myself, what I figured out, is that motivation is overrated. Okay, Lawrence? So some people, listen, Lawrence, some people feel that they need permission from motivation to start painting, which is messed up because you don't need any permission from motivation, because at the end of the day, motivation needs to be demystified. Motivation is just like a spark. It's not the fuel. It's just the spark plug, right? Is that what it's called? And it's not going to get you all the way into a completed painting. Motivation is extremely overrated simply because it acts like it's the main fuel of art. So, like, if you think about it in another aspect, like if you think about working out, what's your motivation for working out every single day? Once you've worked out for a year and you go to the gym, after a year of working out, do they still need motivation at the gym? You know, do they say, I don't need any motivation to go to the gym. I just go because something replaced motivation, which was discipline. Discipline is like something in you commands you, demands that you go. So once you start realizing you don't need permission from motivation to draw, you'll start drawing again. You'll just be like, okay, I don't need to be inspired at the moment. I could just sit here and literally venture into an illogical stream of artistic flow. Illogical stream, no logic to it. Literally just sit there and just sketch whatever comes to mind, you know? And that is all of a sudden what happened to motivation. Where'd motivation go? You know, didn't we need motivation's permission a second ago? What happened to that? So motivation is fickle because it'll come one day, you know, oh yeah, I'm so inspired. Like I feel like just adding this element with this element. And, oh yeah, things are great. I'm having a good day. I had the exact amount of coffee, not too little, not too much, and I feel great. So yeah, you know, this is a great day. I hope every day has motivation just like this. Nope. Nothing works like that. Nothing has positive motivation every single day. And so you think, therefore, because you didn't have positive motivation, that you no longer have permission to draw. That's really, really, really dangerous, because then at that point you're just waiting for this spiritual enlightenment and the art gods to visit you and touch their finger on your third eye so that that day you could enter avatar mode and start drawing amazing stuff and enter flow, because flow is so unattainable. No, flow is waiting for you at any time. Flow is waiting. You just have to show up to the canvas and apply a certain amount of time, maybe a couple minutes, maybe an hour before flow kicks in, and then you just start noticing you have complete and uninterrupted access to your brain and making better decisions with your lines and brushstrokes, and have good ideas on what design elements to combine with what, and costumes and armor. And that's just, you know, from what I experience, is that I just have this uninterrupted access to this, you know, dark pool of, I don't really know what I'm doing, it just comes out. Motivation is fickle because it's not like discipline. Discipline shows up every single day. Motivation doesn't. And you don't need permission from motivation. So there's that. Another reason why you might not be drawing is that you just have COVID fatigue. A lot of people are stressed out and they don't know how stressed out they are. And if you give yourself this permission to just not worry about your output, not worry about your process. So I just made a video about excessive inspiration, trying to find motivation, this fickle thing that'll never come, always jumping through different Instagram accounts. So who's the person that asked the question? I forget his name already. I'm so sorry. But what's their name again? I'm sorry. But yeah, but Lawrence, do you find yourself flipping through Instagram daily for hours trying to find quote unquote inspiration, motivation? Because if you're overdoing that, if you're over present on social media, you're actually killing your process. You're actually over inspiring yourself, you're overstimulating yourself and creating this inertia. So you might have, most likely have COVID fatigue or pandemic fatigue, which is like this we just went through a really big universal stress, event. It's a stress event that everybody in the world was feeling. It united all of us. So we all have this difficult to pinpoint, but definitely present, shared collective stress at the moment in the world. We're all really stressed out underneath. You just have to think about a song that came out. The way I noticed I definitely have pandemic fatigue. Listen to this, guys. Is I listened to a song that came out before the pandemic was even uttered in anybody's mouths, or before Wuhan was ever done with anything or whatever. I listened to a song, and I remember the day I listened to that song on the radio, I remember being so stress-free compared to who I am as a person today, listening to the same song. The song is like a time capsule, and it preserved the feeling of the world with it. So as I'm listening to the song, I'm remembering how peaceful the world was. And you want to know what song it was? You're gonna laugh. It's "Humble" by Kendrick Lamar. But I swear to God, the time period that song came out in was just such a peaceful time. So I'm listening to him I'm listening to him say shit like what's something in the song? Bitch, get off my stage. I'm the Sandman. I'm just like, yeah, this is so peaceful for me. I'm like, this is so peaceful. I love this song. So lately I've been listening to songs that happened before the pandemic. Just because they have this like time capsule effect to them, where I just get to pretend the world never had to go through COVID. So you might have COVID fatigue. I had COVID fatigue. I still have some, but lately I've been trying to, create those little safe spaces where I pretend it never happened, which is okay. It's not really denial. I think it's just kind of meditative, trying to pretend the world did not have to go through this. Just to create my own little version of it. Maybe it's bad to repress, current reality, but whatever. So you might have that. You might be overstimulated. You might be and finally the first point I made is that you might be giving motivation too much credit. You don't need motivation, by the way. You don't need permission to sit down on your computer right now and sketch whatever. Doesn't matter what it is. Sketch a pig on a bear with a fishing rod on a lake, and they're sharing the fish that they caught, and there's a little barbecue in the background, and the fish is like, hey guys, you don't have to have permission to sketch anything. It could just be whatever happened, and then you have to trust that whatever does come out in that kind of permission-free, inspiration-free flow of art, that you just, whatever comes out, it's going to be attuned with what it is you like to draw. You're not going to draw a pig on a bear fishing in the forest, having a camping date. You don't have to do that. There's going to be something else that comes to you. I think during the pandemic, we need to look for happiness in a new way, and deciding to move forward with a new sense of purpose. And your support really inspires and helps me to do that. Thank you, Tushar. What's your biggest advice for beginner painters? So are they beginner painters in the sense that they can sketch, or are they just new to everything? Because it's different advice for either. Basically, try to find a task list of priorities other professionals have in order to start their paintings. So what are the priorities of some professionals? And you'll find similarities between all these professionals is that their priorities are core shadows and base tones, getting the best base tone and getting the best core shadow. So it's not, make sure you have a good morning routine before you start painting, or it's nothing spiritual. You don't have to meditate for 3 hours before you start painting. It's just find the mid-tone you need, and make sure you have the core shadow for the volume you're going for. So if you're a sketch artist, the reason why I say the meanings are, the advice is different between an artist who just started painting and an artist who just started art, is different advice. Is if you are good at sketching and you say you're good at sketching, I'd really just need to diagnose your portfolio. But if you are good at sketching, it means you know your shapes, right? Like you understand basic volumes. So if you understand basic volume, basic shapes, then you'll know what core shadow you need. And if you understand basic form studies and basic light on form physics, then you understand what base tone you need. Once you have a good base tone and once you have a good core shadow, nothing can sneak up on you anymore, because you have an understanding of what needs to be high fidelity, what needs to be preserved while you paint. Everything else is just up for grabs. You can choose not to put highlights. You can exaggerate the highlights. You could choose not to have a variety of midtones. What is not optional in the world of painting is even keeping the lines is acceptable, you know, if that's your style. But let's just say, you know, you had, you know, if you listened to good advice and you actually let go of the line and only had the edge. The best, most important thing that's not optional is the core shadow. You can't have a core shadow. You can't not have a core shadow. You also can't not have edges or any kind of definition for the outside parameters of the object. So for instance, this face, it's not optional for me to keep this edge. I have to keep this edge. It's not optional, but it's not optional in the sense that something has to be working on the edge. So I either had a line or had the edge, but I need an edge. But what is fundamentally more not optional is the core shadow. And those are some big advices for beginners. That's some advice for beginners. Is that you really can't mess with the mid-tone and the light environment and the form study aspect, and you can't mess with the core shadow. Make sure you have both intact. Respect your lines, but replace them with edges. Respect what the lines are pointing at. Respect your edges. And you should have smooth sailing from there. Hopefully. You know, this is just very topical advice at the end of the day. It's not encompassing every possible unit of failure that you might come across. So what's your shape? Where's the light source? What's the core shadow? Make sure you have a good clean core shadow. Have some clean edges. And you should be happy. Painting the face, you should know where the core shadow is. Get a good skin tone. Don't know how to do skin tones? Do some studies of palettes. Do some master studies. Don't feel like doing skin tones yet? Work in grayscale. Just perfect your ability to access the core shadow. Don't mess with it. Don't play around. The core shadow is not optional. And if that's in your mind all the time, you really will not have a rough time transitioning into painting, especially if your lines are good. But do form studies. Long story short, do form studies, because they teach you both respecting your edge and respecting the core shadow. Do like circles, spheres, understand these shapes, because at the end of the day, everything is made up of spheres and circles and cubes. And if you know how to paint every shape, you know how to paint everything. I always get overwhelmed when there's an enormous amount of detail to paint. Me too. It's a normal human sensation. You just have to leave the detail for the end. Get your core shadows down. I mean, look at how simple it was before I started detailing today. I just wanted the values where they belong to go where they belong. I didn't worry about detailing. Detailing comes at the end, and detailing won't work if it doesn't have a good base. So don't try to do so much at the same time because, well, you know, it's fun to add details. The time will come for details. Do you sometimes experiment with color still? Yeah, I do. I thought maybe I could color this one. Once I was done, I was just going to mess around with some color. I just didn't want to involve color in the process just because I'm studying it and I'm just trying to perfect it. But to me, just honestly speaking, color doesn't do it for me. Every time I see black and white photos, I just have this instantaneous reaction. Like on Instagram, if I'm browsing, I'll just instantly take a screenshot of it. But I've never really gone to the point where I say, you know, wow, look at that color. Because every time somebody's ever asked me, Istebrak, what's your favorite color? I'd be like, I don't have one. I barely have one. Like I just like neutral colors, earthy colors, grays, tans. But a lot of my clothes are gray and a lot of my decorating is gray and white and shades of that. I don't know, I gotta tell you, I don't really, I'm not crazy about colors all that much, but I do want to explore them. They're fun and my students love them, so I have to obviously know them and teach them. But yeah, it's just not really, you know. Let me see if this was even the right decision. Before, after. No, this was all stupid. I guess I'm nearly done detailing the face then. I just really care about grays. I love values. I love the way light is captured. Light really gets to take the stage when there's grayscale. When it comes to color, light takes a back, you know, it goes into the back burner. Nobody really, you know, thinks about light. They think about the colors. And that's just too much entertainment for me. Because I don't know, I feel like guilty for being so entertained by color and ignoring the light. Just because I'm a student of light, you know, so I try to stay as connected to it as possible, not have too much fun. But I've taught people how to paint skin tones. I've taught skin tones before. It just doesn't do it for me the way light does with grayscale. Just not inspired. Sometimes though, sometimes I would get like suddenly I just feel like using a green. You know, sometimes I will get these color surges from time to time. But they're pretty humble, like they're pretty low frequency. They're not very extreme moments of inspiration, you know. You can take that, I don't like it. No, please take it, get out of here, because I'm gonna keep drinking it and I don't like it. Dunkin' Donuts sucks. It's actually real coffee. That's what real coffee tastes like. I don't know what they put in Timmy's coffee, but I don't feel sick the way I feel sick after having a Timmy's coffee. Did you get your donut? There's no donut? Is it on the table? Oh shit, it must be in the car still. Did you find it? Shit, I think it like fell out. Go to the car. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, baby. I feel it coming. I feel it coming. I'm trying to do the Daft Punk part. I feel it coming. I feel it coming, baby. I feel it coming. You were not the single type. Bye, David.